Hello, hello. It's so dramatic up here. How's everyone doing tonight? Good evening and welcome into session 2 of the State 48 Foundation and BetMGM Entrepreneur Speaker Series presented by OGeez and Drink in AZ. Can I have an applause for that? Because that was a lot. That was a lot. Thank you all for being here tonight. Who came out to session 1 and loved it? So good. We have a great lineup here for you tonight. This session is, of course, produced by Every Impression Counts, and we are live from Walter Studios, the coolest studio here in downtown Phoenix. Hello to everyone that is joining us virtually as well. My name is Lisa Matthews. I'm the host of our State 48 podcast. So who's a subscriber here? Because you get an extra point for your grant if you're a subscriber to the podcast. Okay, extra points. Mike, mark it down for them. Thank you guys for being here. I'll be your host for tonight. And we have such a dynamic panel for you here of speakers. So tonight's session is called Authentic Leadership and Brand Identity. You'll be hearing from 3 incredible leaders and business owners here in the Valley about what it takes to lead a business with authenticity and how you can impact your brand. But before we get started, I'd like to bring up our very good friend, Tim Regan, to tell you more about the State 48 Foundation. Tim?
Hey. All right. My name's Tim Regan. I'm a board member for State 48. First and foremost, let's all of you here give yourself a round of applause for showing up for yourself tonight. Love it. On behalf of the board of the State 48 Foundation, we thank everybody for taking time to come out. I know traffic wasn't super easy today. Looked like it might rain, so people got nervous. As an entrepreneurship-born foundation, State 48 Foundation is really here to support everybody in this room who has a dream. Some of you are a little bit earlier in the dream, some of you are a little bit later. But our vision and our goal is to support each and every one of you in some way, whether it's through creating programming like this tonight, giving away the grant funding. Let's give it up for the $50,000 grant funding that'll be given away at the end of the night. Right on. It's all about building community empowerment. As important as the speakers are tonight, each of you are important to each other. The ecosystem and community that is this room is what the real power is. So, like I know Lisa mentioned, make sure you connect with people, get together offline, continue to learn and grow. You know, we just believe that locally, entrepreneurs and small business are the lifeblood of this community. It's what makes Phoenix, Phoenix. And we want to play every part we can in helping everybody fulfill their dreams. Without further ado, again, we're just thrilled that everybody's here to spend some time. It's always extremely humble as a board member to see how many people show up to support this foundation and to help further this community. So again, give yourself a round of applause and let's have a great night.
Let's give it up for Tim. I told him this is his moment, Tim. This was your moment. I told him he had to dance with me on stage, but he quickly ran off, so there's that. But yeah, tonight is such an important night. It's one of my favorite events that we put on. And just a quick note for you, if you look around, there's gonna be a QR code where you can scan, because as you know, this event here tonight is free. There's nothing like this in the Valley that supports entrepreneurs, big dreamers, visionaries like you. So make sure you're scanning that and maybe give a little donation so that we can keep wonderful events like this one here tonight for free and accessible to the community. So please consider a small donation. Well, tonight we're bringing together community resources for all of you. Arizona has a number of great organizations offering support and services to local business owners. Now, each week we will highlight different organizations across the Valley, and they'll be set up in the lobby in case you want to ask any questions to help guide you or learn more. This week we have Score Phoenix, mentorship with experienced entrepreneurs, corporate managers, and executives with diverse backgrounds and industries. We have AZ Microcredit Initiative initiative, Arizona Microcredit empowers underserved entrepreneurs to start or expand businesses through consulting services, microloans, and business instruction. We also have Chicanos por la Causa here, funding and technical assistance. Now, let's talk a little bit about the money. Give it up. Y'all heard $50,000 up for grabs for you. And tonight, in fact, one of our panelists, Melody, she is a former grant recipient. So no other organization giving out money like this to help fund your business. Now, with that said, with that $50,000 in grant funding this year, your business might be eligible for up to $10,000. How exciting is that? Now, in order to make that happen, we do have some rules, a little guidelines here. You have to attend at least 3 out of the 4 speaker series sessions in person or virtually. Complete 3 post sessions. Now, those post session surveys will be emailed to you on Friday. You'll complete that. Do those 2 things, and you'll be sent an application like the one Melody filled out 2 years ago and then became a recipient. So can y'all do that? Easy peasy? Okay. Our keynote speaker will be joining us shortly here, but before we get the show started, we do want to make a quick housekeeping note here for you. Like I said, move up close. I feel like we're all filled up, though. I'm looking around. I do have my contacts on, Nick, so I can see here tonight. Looks like our seats are filled up already, but if you see anyone coming in late, just make sure you maybe scoot on over for them. We don't want to make it weird for them. Come on up awkwardly, kind of like that church move when you're late. I've done it many times. We also have restrooms in the back, so feel free to get up when needed. They're just right down there instead of going through the doors here. And also that QR code. Take a look here tonight. We also are having after networking session in the bar area. Isn't this space so amazing just to be able to network and mingle with people, have some drinks? I'm hungry. I am starving, Mike. I need to eat after this. Please feed me. But it's always such a fantastic time to network together, other visionaries and entrepreneurs here in the Valley. 1 second, please. All right, let's get the show started by introducing tonight's keynote speaker, Brooke Graves. She'll be coming up on the stage with a quick intro about her. She has her bachelor's degree from ASU, Go Devils, in nutrition, dietetics, and a master's of science in human nutrition and functional medicine. She is currently completing her doctorate in clinical nutrition to propel Kaleidoscope. Everyone got a Kaleidoscope, so yummy. To new heights with her incredible knowledge of food science. Brooke has a strong passion to heal others through food and will continue to create new menu favorites. Let's welcome to the stage, Brooke Graves.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here and excited to tell you a little bit about me and Kaleidoscope Juice. So I know you all have the product, so now you can say you've never tried it, so you have tried it. We are a local brand. How many of you have been to a Kaleidoscope? Oh, wow. Thank you. That's so nice. We were founded in Arizona. I had a previous partner who founded the business with me, and her and I have built the store to 6 locations and a commissary that we own in Old Town Scottsdale. We pride ourselves on being organic, local, and female-run. So all of our management is women, and we are very proud of the women that we've propelled into management positions and leading the brand. So how we got started. It's a long story because it's very nutrition-based, and obviously it's kind of random that I keep going to school. Apparently I love debt, and so I've been in school for forever. But I really started when I was younger, how all health and wellness journeys begin, because we are a health-centric company. I grew up a very sick kid. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at age 3. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition where your joints essentially attack themselves. I had it in my knees and my ankles. It eventually spread up to my spine when I was 16. I went through rounds of steroid shots. I was on Relafin, which is an anti-inflammatory drug, everything you could possibly imagine. And because of that, I am actually the shortest person really in my family. And it affected my development, my growth. It also made it hard for me to participate in many things. My parents were told when I was younger that they would be lucky if I'd be able to sit at a desk and write. But now, obviously, doing a lot better, so very good. Yeah, very exciting. And I was able to do that through nutrition. My mom and dad were given a choice when I was 3 years old to go the standard route, which I'm so grateful. I had a really great rheumatologist, and he worked very hard with me on everything. But a beautiful thing is he was open to all the ideas my mom brought to him. At 3 years old in the 90s, we didn't have a computer, so my mom was reading in libraries on the ground, looking through anything she could find that was anti-inflammatory for diet, food, anything. So I was doing acupuncture as a baby or as a child or toddler, chiropractic work, and I was on gluten-free before it was even called gluten-free. And I eventually got off medication, and I have been off of steroid drugs since I was 18 years old. I'm 31 now. And yeah, thank you. It's really great. And I'm happy to say it's because I had the major blessing of modern medicine with the intuition of my parents saying there has to be more out there. There has to be something that we can give our daughter and just not continuously giving her pills and injections and all these things and be told, you're lucky, you get what you get. And because of that, I ended up going into nutrition, and I told people I really wanted to follow in nutrition and have a career where I was somebody's advocate. Not everybody is as blessed as I was with parents who sat there and fought for me and didn't take no for an answer. And so as I was going through my undergrad, I eventually met my previous partner, Alexandra, and she was juicing out of her house and meeting people in parking lots, which is not legal for food service. But that's how every business starts, it's a little illegal. So my family I was nannying for as a senior at ASU was buying these, I would call them, juice off the streets. And I was like, I vibe with this is what I'm into. We ended up meeting, and I talked to her. She was like, I'm opening a shop, and I ended up getting hired as like an OG hire. So her and I hit the ground running. We totally vibed on all things Kaleidoscope, but it opened with 5 juices, 3 smoothies, and a bowl. If you've been to our menu now, we're up to 32 juices, 21 smoothies, multiple bowls. It's too much. We're like the Cheesecake Factory of juices, and I know that. I gotta cut it down, but sorry. We ended up vibing on it. We grew the brand together. We partnered, and we always stuck to the root of this business was made because we want to be people's advocates. And we want to be that spot where you can go out to eat, and a lot of places, they're getting better. They're coming around to the idea of helping people with food allergies and things of that nature. But you often feel like a pain, asking for something, what's in it, how can you remake this? Or just having to say, I can't go there because I'm on a strict diet, and it's not necessarily for weight or anything, it's for your health. And we want to be that advocate for people. So the whole brand and how we built our identity, sorry, there is a fly, and it's not going away. But the whole point of the brand was to make people well. And so we've always operated in that sense, and that's how we really manage and how we lead. So every time I interview, every time we talk to people in management, I always say look for passion and look for people who believe in what we're doing, brand integrity. If I wanted to make $1 billion, I would have definitely sold pizza or a cheeseburger, something with a better margin. But we really wanted the product to always be at the forefront of our business. So if you look at our food, everything that we've done, it's all unique blends, it's all unique stuff to, honestly, an individual I've met. So a lot of our juices have names. Vanessa, Mason's Magic, and Mason's Magic is probably one of my favorites. It's most recent. It's a little boy, he has autism, and because of that, he's on the low FODMAP diet. His mom is just she's an advocate. She's talking to doctors, and they're on this diet, and they're trying to find solutions for her son because diet does affect every aspect of your life. You look at your hair, skin, and nails, your bones, it all grows based off of essentially what you feed it. So when you look at specific case patients like we do at Kaleidoscope, I find people who come in and they'll tell me this ailment, and they're like, I don't know what to feed my kid. I am trying everything, and they don't know what to do. So I love being able to meet with a lot of parents and a lot of unwell individuals and building out products for them because I have been that kid. And I have seen how hard it was for my mom to feel so alone in that journey and to feel like she didn't have that advocate with her in order to make her child have a normal life. So the biggest blessing and the biggest joy of Kaleidoscope Juice is that we really are a brand that's in service. Our biggest goal of the day is, how did we serve you? How did we help you? I like to look at numbers. It's good. You don't want to lose money, but it's not the driving part of who we are, which I don't know if I'm like the best person to be in a business summit then saying that. But how our highs are monitored and how the company has grown is out of a place of true love and intention for our customer. And every time, and my husband can attest to this, I have the biggest joy and the biggest, I would compare it to yes, a high, but when people will text me and message me, my dad is in chemo, and he hasn't been able to get out of bed after his treatments and go for a walk. We shipped the juices to him. It was the first time ever since he started chemo, he got out of bed, he went for a 2-mile walk, and he sat and had dinner with his family. Those are our wins. And so, thank you. So those are really who we are as a brand, and that's really who we are as a business. And so I basically say with, leading authentically is I don't ever want us to stray away and get away from the reason we started, which is to serve. So for how I would wrap this up is, every single morning when I get out of bed, I'm excited to go to work because I think, how can I be of service today to people? How can I help? How can I heal? And I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I get to call it my job.
Wow, you're going to stay on stage here? I have so many questions, so thankfully we have a panel, and then you get to ask questions at the end.
I think I'm switching my...
Oh, just kidding. Run a show. Here we go. I'm actually going to introduce two of our other panelists here tonight. We have Melody Lewis and Futuristic, so give them a hand. Come onto the stage. So Melody is the founder and Indigenous Community Collaborative. Melody is a social entrepreneur and co-founding member dedicated to serving Indigenous communities and individuals within the systems of workforce development, education, and economic development, utilizing collaborative approaches rooted in Indigenous identity. And again, she was a recipient, so maybe you could be up here next year. You never know. Next, we have Futuristic coming to the stage as well. I mean, he does a little bit of everything. He is an artist, an entrepreneur of Indie Amplify, Support the Homies Management. I gotta ask more in depth about that. Cadoni Homes and Adventures. So Advan, there's a van in there. He'll explain. Or you can watch our podcast episode. It's a great one. I'm going to have them come up right now to the stage. I'm guessing I'm going to go over here to start our panel here. And tonight, give them a go.
Sheesh.
Well, what? Were you just rapping for us right now?
I just had to
Can
make
you
sure
start
it was
with the
on.
little flow? I know he doesn't do anything on demand. He's a true artist. Okay, so tonight we're hitting on leadership, authenticity, of course, and a little financial advice as well. So to open up this session, obviously it's all about leadership. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you how you would describe your leadership style, and is there a reason behind how you lead?
I will go first. I would say my leadership style is I'm very honest. I always tell people don't know what they don't know, so I always find it respectful when people are very honest with me, and I do take a lot of pride that anybody at any level in the company at Kaleidoscope, we're at almost 70 employees, will come up, see me, say, hey, and be like, can I talk to you for a second? And I love having that honest interaction and feedback, because at the end of the day, they're sacrificing their time because they care so much about Kaleidoscope that it blows my mind that many people want to do this with me and have this joy with me. So I would say I lead with honesty, and I hope that is reciprocated back. So we are I think, an honest company, honest brand.
I love that. Gamadou, hi everyone. So I would say my leadership style is very community-centered, so communal. I come from, again, an Indigenous background and came from a community that was very relational. And so that's exactly how I lead. Try to be reciprocal and support anyone that I'm partnering with. And I am a service-based business, so I'm not a product. And I think that's really, I guess, again, something I hold very valuable to me is making sure that I'm in good relations with anyone that I'm working with and collaborating with.
Super cool. For me, my leadership comes from basically doing it myself first, kind of being the guinea pig for all of my businesses and knowing like if I'm going to hire somebody to do a job, I'm going to do it first. I'm going to know it well. I'm going to, put in the blood, sweat, and tears that you hear people talk about before I ask somebody else to do it, because you don't want to ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't even do or know nothing about it. So for me, everything is hands-on, and then on top of that, it's just taking accountability. Being a leader, at the end of the day, if your business fails, it's your fault. No matter how many people you hire, no matter who you have running with you, everything is on you. So just taking the accountability when things go wrong, and then always helping people up as well and boosting the morale. I think those are probably the three things that in my leadership, yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Leadership is so hard. So with you having 70 people under you working for you, your vision all in one, what would you say you would identify as the most important qualities of a leader?
Our business with food, it's passion. We're an extremely passionate brand, obviously, and you have to have people just as crazy and as passionate as you to care that much about juice. And so it's a very passion-driven leadership role, and our training manual is huge, and it's because we go in, we'll have chia seeds and then a paragraph. What are chia seeds good for? Cacao, what's cacao good for? And so you have to have all of the leaders be so amped to talk about cacao and so amped to talk about hemp seeds. So our leadership really is passion-driven.
Cacao. We're learning something today. Melody, for you, what are some thoughts that you have around some of the struggles maybe that you've faced in leadership and how you overcome those?
Oh, I get that one. So, yeah. No, I think probably one of the biggest things of some of the struggles with leadership is really facilitating change. I think facilitating change with a group of people or a collaboration or people that I'm in company with. I'm trying to make sure that all perspectives and voices and values are heard. And I've messed up plenty of times from that, of just trying to steward conversations or building community. I think that's probably been one of the biggest struggles for me, is just making sure that I'm intentional and present. And I'm a very I need to find an answer, I need to get a solution. And sometimes that kind of drives me a little bit, but that's probably not what somebody needs in that moment. So I think, again, just being present, listening and hearing, and not thinking that I have to come up with the answer all the time.
Before we continue on, can you just give a little bit more background into exactly what you do?
What do I do? So I'm a service-based business that's rooted in creating programs and solutions for the communities that I come from. So sovereign nations, I think. Yeah. And all of that really is kind of rooted into, maybe kind of piggyback on what you're saying, is just going into a space, because there's not very many Native people in spaces that I'm in, and I guess that's really just going in and trying to figure it out and learn it. And so when somebody comes in behind me, it's easier for them to navigate. And so I do a lot of that with different education institutions, different companies, and now they call that type of work diversity, equity, and inclusion, so I guess I'm that.
And she's so modest, you guys. Are y'all Phoenix Suns fans? The turquoise jersey, she helped lead that initiative, which is so amazing to put their culture.
That's representation. But there is, again, community-led. I think that's the center. I'm one of 30 people, and I think I have a friend here that did that, if you're here. There he is, Jeremy. Yeah, so thank you.
Futuristic, how about you give us a little bit more background as well?
For me, so I'm an artist first. Everything that I do is music-based for the most part. So I started making music when I was 5 years old. It's taken me around the entire world. I've done things like Jimmy Fallon, Good Morning America, used to tour 200 days out of the year, and now from doing that, I've settled down. I got a wife. I have 2 kids, and I have started businesses in the music space to help other independent artists. I never signed a record deal. I did everything independently, so I had to learn the whole thing. Yeah, so yeah, and that's kind of it. All of my businesses center around helping the independent artists, whether it be educating them, giving them resources, and letting them learn from my mistakes, whether it be consulting, music reviews, giving them vans, and supporting the homies.
Yeah, explain the homies, the vans, the homies in vans. What's the story
Got you.
behind
So
that?
I have a few different businesses in the music space. One is called Support the Homies Management. Never thought I would be a manager because I was always an artist, but at the end of the day, I had a bunch of homies who were doing stupid stuff and not doing the right things to blow up as an artist. So I started managing artists a couple years back, and every single one of my artists, I managed 6 artists, and this year they're all going on separate tours. They're all doing great things, so that's been really cool to see. I do, thank you. Then I have a business called Indie Amplify, which is kind of self-explanatory. It's to amplify independent artists, so that's my education service. And then Adventures, come on down, get your van. I have a business called Adventures, which is just renting vans out to artists for tours. And, dabble in real estate things and all the things, You can't be a rapper till you're 80, so it's like, let's do some other stuff.
But you are like on the level of, Snoop Dogg. We talked about this on the podcast, but an artist, but you found areas in your industry where there's problems. That's what we all do as entrepreneurs. And you found a solution in such a unique way. So give it up for him. He's doing amazing.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
So all of you guys have experienced, obviously, change in business. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you've kind of overcome change and maybe just embraced it, because change is not always a bad thing in business.
We had our most massive shift as a business in COVID. I'm sure many people can relate. We used to have 2 concepts that had full-on kitchens, and it was in downtown Phoenix and in Arcadia. And we still had our juice concept, smoothies, everything, but we were trying to be everybody's everything. And in COVID, those locations, one was in a gym, which was forcibly closed, and one was in an office building, which was forcibly closed. And we sat there and said, it was honestly one of the worst days of my life, having to sit down with our staff and explain our doors aren't going to be open anymore, and I'm so sorry. There's absolutely nothing that I can do other than, try to help find more resources. And we had to sit as a business and pivot, obviously, and decide, how are we going to go forward as a company? How are we going to we have grab and go in our stores. How are we going to still service the needs for people who are coming in and trying to find healthy food on the go? So I ended up partnering with a local organic chef, Stacy Weber, and I know, she just opened up her restaurant today, if you guys want to go check it out. And she's great. And I embraced the fact that, we made good food, but it was killing us. And honestly, looking back, it wasn't that great. So I was just like, you know what? It was, you have to look sometimes at it and just say, in business, there will always be something that will happen to you. And at the time, it was embarrassing to have to close. And it was hard, and it was devastating to the people I worked with for 5 years in those locations. But from that gave a rebirth to the brand. And overnight, I sat down and went through our entire P&L and was like, all right, what can we keep? What can we get rid of? And I restructured the business in probably 48 hours to get grab and go and to redo our entire business model. And that's the business model we've had ever since that we've been growing with.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just the common phrase, when the pandemic hit, it caused all of us to have to shift and pivot. As a service-based business, everything for us was in person. So not being able to do the work really challenged me to think about restructuring, or actually reinventing yourself, really, because being a service-based business, I am a solo entrepreneur, really, so it's just me. But I've challenged myself personally because during the pandemic, everything went online. I wasn't a social media person. I didn't like to put my stuff out there. I like to be behind the scenes, and that's it. But, during the pandemic, I really had to okay, you can't do that anymore, because if you do, you won't get recognized. You have to change and evolve with the times and meet the people where they're at, and it was online. So we created a YouTube channel called Response, R-A-Z-P-O-N-S-E. I'm from the reservation, Fort Mojave Indian Reservation, and we call the reservation the Res. So we call it Response, and it's just us responding from an Indigenous perspective and lens, and that kind of really got us out there. But it was really hard to put myself out there. It's like even being here is like, okay.
No, it truly is for most. I mean, it's unveiling a part of you, and this is all about authenticity, obviously, and how many people show up authentically online. How many times have you met someone and you're like, you're nowhere near futuristic? Let's talk about it. Yeah. What's your shirt say right there?
My shirt says, "Make sure you're happy in real life, not just on the internet."
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, let's speak a little bit on that. Because, you know, Melody, you're talking about the struggles of social media. I'm sure you have a robust social media. But, you know, so much of your brand and authenticity is, I mean, follow him on IG. It's amazing. His reels, his videos, his content. So how much of that do you pour into just showing up as the leader and the business person that you want to attract for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to tap back a little bit into just the last part in changing, the music industry is constantly changing, right? Like everybody here probably listens to Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. Well, when I was first blowing up, it was all iTunes. People were buying records. People were spending $10 on a song or on an album. And so you're constantly having to change and adapt. And the one thing I can kind of add to that is just you have to learn your business and you have to continue to learn. You have to continue to learn your business and continue to see the way that it's changing, really study it, adapt, change it, grow it, and be in the know so you don't want to be the last person on TikTok and be like, I don't want to be on TikTok. You have to kind of at least see it and at least know what's happening so you can really have all the tools at your disposal to change your business. And then as far as being authentic, I think the truth will always come out. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. And so if you're not being authentic about your brand, if you start putting weird stuff in your juice, people are going to know eventually, you know?
I mean, he was looking at the date on your juice, and he was like, is that a 1? Is that a 9?
Yeah. So you just really, and the thing about it is you attract. When you're authentic, you attract the right people. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're authentic to your brand and what you want to do, and that could change as well. So for me, my brand has completely changed. Like, I wasn't always the person I am today. I was 20 years old. I was on the road. I was doing crazy things, and that was kind of my brand. And then now I'm 32. I'm married with 2 kids, and my brand is just making sure people are happy in real life, not the internet. So the music has changed. The merch has changed. The businesses have changed. Everything has changed, and it's authentic to who I am as a human being right now. And I think the scariest thing about making content and being on the internet and why people don't want to do it is because they're afraid of being judged for those changes. But as long as you're being authentic to you and you have confidence in yourself, then it doesn't matter what a comment on the internet says, because you can go to sleep at night knowing, like, I'm presenting the true me every single day.
I love that. I love that. That works perfectly into the next question. What parts of yourself are you bringing into your business, would you say?
I would say my entire life. I'm dedicating to Kaleidoscope. Obviously, academically, I'm trying to every single day look up a research study. If you find this, it helps with colon cancer, I'm going to try to make a juice. If there's an ingredient that I can change that's going to help fight off Alzheimer's, I'm going to add it into a smoothie. If I meet somebody who's going through chemo, we have the heavy metal detox smoothie. So I really do try to, for better or for worse, every minute of my day is how can I make our product better and how many lives can we save? So.
So I'm a sister and an auntie. So I guess that's what I bring into this. Like, I treat every person that I'm mentoring or someone that I hold really close to me as I would a sister or auntie. So if you're like messing up, I'll check you. Excuse you. No, get over here. But I just to be, I guess, serious too is also recognizing some of the bad pieces that I bring into that and talking about I am a fixer, and I do like to take care of people, and sometimes that's exhausting, and being just honest with myself when I have to set boundaries sometimes. So.
Yeah. Boundaries are huge. Futuristic?
Yeah, I'm pretty much like you. I eat, breathe, sleep my business, and I think it's extremely important for me as a rapper to make sure that I'm showing off these pieces of my life that aren't typical for rappers. So when I make content and I make music, it's like I want to have my wife in my content. I want to have my son in my content because I want to show people that it's cool to be married. It's cool to have kids. It's cool to know that there's a life outside of partying and drinking and doing all the typical rapper things. And that's been, once again, the shift and the change and the growth is a lot of my fans now, they've grown with me and they're like, I love that I can still listen to your music now and I can still follow you now because I'm going through the same things as you, and so many rappers are scared and so many content creators are scared to really show off the things about their life that are actually cool, not the cars, not the money, not the chains, not all the BS. It's like this strong relationship and this aspect of my life is actually the thing you should be chasing and not what mainstream social media is showing you.
Yeah, truly. We're going to stick with you on this because it flows perfectly into it because you have to be self-aware, right? As a leader, as a business owner. So how do you just keep that self-awareness as you're leading, as you're growing, as you're showing up authentically, doing all the things?
I think you have to be open to criticism, for sure. I think you have to communicate well. And you have to, you just have to listen to people. But you also have, you have to know yourself. And I'm not sure, I think maybe people struggle with it. I feel like I've always been pretty self-aware, but I think maybe people that aren't self-aware say that.
I'm looking at your wife right now.
Yeah. No, I think it's just communicating and keeping that line of communication open with everybody inside and outside of your business. If people feel like they can talk to you and they can tell you how they feel without you spazzing and without you getting defensive, then that's where the self-awareness will come from. If 20 people are saying the same thing about me, it's probably true. So at the end of the day, I think a lot of people get criticism and take the defense and put a wall up. And instead, it's like you have to be open to hearing what people say. And then I think a lot of knowing yourself is pushing yourself and constantly showing up for yourself every day.
Yeah, that's good. Melody?
Yes, to all of that. I think every interaction or experience that I face I see it as a learning opportunity in every situation. Also knowing that learning is not linear. Like I could learn from anyone no matter how much experience or how old they are, where they come from. I think that's also part of just being open-minded and being willing to hear feedback. I think I coined the term, just my friend, shout out to Turquoise because we do this work together, but we call it like the making of the modern day matriarch because I learned so many things from the generations before me. And then, today we're navigating a whole new space that my grandparents and my aunties and my mom navigated a whole different environment. So I think, again, those learning examples and just knowing like, hey, it's okay to mess up or hey, it's okay, like you don't know it all type of thing. And just, again, taking every moment as a learning opportunity.
Well, I have a lot of teenagers and college-age young women who work for me because it is, a smoothie juice shop. And if you have teenagers, they're the most honest people you will ever meet. So I would say that I get checked every day. And so from, what I'm wearing, it's not cool anymore. So I think I'm very lucky, they try to keep me young and try to keep me cool, but I am very fortunate that I work with very honest people and I take it almost with stride. And so you're gonna get criticism, you're gonna get feedback. Trust me, we get a lot of feedback and food. Everybody's a chef. So we get a lot of feedback. And sometimes, it'll hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie. Somebody will tell me they think something is ugly and I'm like, I work so hard on that, but it's okay. And I've gotten a lot better at it, and I do think it's with, the girls and guys that I work with that, it's just like, as long as you love what you're doing, and you know, it's just juice. It's not that serious. And we're trying to have fun, and we're trying to do the right thing. So the intention of the product, the intention of our job is so well-centered in being just like good people or in like having a good message. If somebody's gonna tell me, you know, something like that we can get better on, I'd love to hear it. But you kind of, if there's some other, you know, just like random comments, I just am like, you know, whatever. Like, we're just trying to make the world a better place. Like, it's whatever. So we operate in a sense of self-awareness, but we operate in a sense of reality. You know, we're making juice and smoothies. So.
It is serious. It's delicious. That's a great comment. Healthy, delicious. I am loving this section right here. It's like church. They're saying yes. They're praising. I love it. You get an extra point too. There's an extra point system that I'm applying for this session, Mike, by the way. Along the lines of just being able to take criticism and just growth in your business, I just listened to a podcast with Troy Aikman, and he was talking about, you know, people on Twitter just go off. Everyone feels like they have an opinion, a voice. Most of the time it's 14-year-olds, it's fine, but we get hurt. And with that, how do you just build that muscle? Has it always been a muscle of yours to just be able to take it with maybe a grain of salt, or take their criticism and apply it if it seems like it's something that, you know, makes sense for your brand? Maybe Futuristic, you could start.
Yeah, I think it really all ties into being authentic. So because I know myself so well, anything that you say to me or about me, if I know my intention, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know who I am, none of that really matters. And then if you really think about it, like, I've never left a hateful comment on anybody's post ever. So to think there's somebody on the other side of the computer that's saying hurtful, mean, weird, crazy things just lets me know that, like, they have something going on in their life that is their issue, and it's not about me, and that's on them. So I would say I had to build that tough skin early. To give an example, the first time I got put on like a bigger platform, there was this record label I worked with. I did a song with one of their artists, and I was so excited for this song to drop. And everybody thought that this label was signing me, and they were so mad because they didn't like the song. And so I waited for a month for this song to drop, and it came out, and it's got like the most views I ever got, 10,000 views in like an hour, and I'm just watching it, and then I'm looking at the comments, and everyone is hate. And I went and played basketball for like 2 hours, and it was in that moment that I realized, well, 20,000 people saw my video, so even, you know, so... Yeah.
Don't block the haters.
You know,
don't take off their comments.
Once again, if you're authentic, if 20,000 people saw it and even 15,000 people hated it, the people that were meant to love me, those 5,000, they're now rocking with me. So at the end of the day, if you get a bunch of hate comments, but you know you're authentic and you get the people that you attract, that tribe, then you're good to go.
Yeah. Melody?
I would call that like leading with grace. I try that almost, I do that every day, is leading with grace, because you're exactly right. I don't know you, you don't know me. You're seeing what I'm showing you, and vice versa. And so that response or how you're interacting with me might come from a different place. So I just accept it, you know. You kind of like, leading with grace, and being patient.
Because she already said she would get up on you if you try to mess with her homies.
I'm saying.
So don't be leaving me comments.
Anti-vibes.
Brooke, for you, since you manage, you said over 70 people, how do you just keep the culture within your organization, your business?
We, as a business, again, and I don't want to sound repetitive, but we really do operate where we're in communication every single minute of every single day. And for the energy, then the tone that I like to set for everybody who works at Kaleidoscope, we have a team of managers, and our females that are in upper management, we have something like called the wellness credit. And our wellness credit is a $100 credit that goes to our upper management for something that they use to their discretion it helps them be well. And that's either counseling, therapy, gym membership, class pass, whatever it is. And I told myself when we reached the point we were able to do that I didn't want people to work for me and to just think that this was a job that they clocked in and clocked out of. I wanted them to know that I was checking in on their well-being, and that at the end of the day, even if they don't stay with me forever, because jobs, people change, they move, it's a stepping stone. But I can honestly and confidently say that every girl who's worked for me and guy who's worked for me knows that I care about their well-being, and I care about their health, and I want them to take care of themselves.
That is so important, especially in a culture. One thing I love about State 48 is the family culture, and it's hard to continue that on as you grow, as you scale, but you're doing such an amazing job, Brooke, for keeping their mental health the focus. And I guess my second question is also for you along the lines of, as a leader, you seem like you eat, breathe, sleep, your job, your business. That's like any entrepreneur. How do you hold those boundaries with you're smiling right now, you're shaking a little. How do you keep those boundaries with your staff, making sure you're taking care of yourself too as the leader?
I can't lie because my husband's here. So we're gonna be, yeah, I'm learning. I am learning, and he's very helpful. I can genuinely say this, the company would not be where it's at, and I would not be emotionally okay with where I'm at if it wasn't for my husband. He makes me check in. Yeah, so I'm very grateful for him, and he has, always checks in with me, makes sure that I'm, not taking things too seriously, being, cognizant of, expectations, and also just not being full on nuts about certain things, which you need. So. But with management and staff, I have had, in food service, this is rare. I have our upper management, our head of our plant's been with me for 9 years. Our head baker's been with me for 6. Our supply operations, 7. So, these people have really grown and built this company with me. They're my friends. I love them. I genuinely love them. And the boundary is that I respect them to know that they have families and lives and everything afterwards. I know not to text my auntie who runs the plant past 5 o'clock. Even if it's important, it can wait till the morning. But it's just a reminder that they are excited and they do love this brand, and just because I eat, sleep, and breathe it, that's amazing, because I do take the responsibility of making sure that our doors are open, bills are paid, paychecks are coming out. I'm responsible for people having a roof over their head and food on the table, and I take that very seriously. So that's why I eat, breathe, and sleep this job. But I know that the only reason that happens is because they're excited to show up at work in the morning. I can't run 6 stores by myself. I couldn't do any of this by myself. So remembering that and knowing that has allowed me to always kind of, check in, take care of myself, make sure that everybody else takes care of themselves. If somebody has a tough day, I'm not being you need to come in, you need to do this. It's more so going, if you need to check out for the day, and handle whatever you need to handle, we'll still be here tomorrow. And I always have tried to shift that attitude so that I can retain really great human beings, because I remember that they're a human being first.
Yeah, so good. Melody, as a leader, how do you just keep that self-development, mental health, the key focus in what you do?
I was never taught self-care. No, that's not an odd thing. That's really just working, right? You just work and you grind, and sometimes that mentality of having to work or take a job is ingrained in me, and so I think it's a lot of unlearning and relearning some things to just kind of make sure I put those self-care moments in there. Even just I'm very logical black and white person too, so tapping into my feeling side or my emotion side, I'm no, I can't do that, but I need that release of some way. Yeah. So just expression and leaning into the family and the friendship group that you have around you.
Yes, especially in this day and age, it's futuristic, the grind mode. You're grinding, you always have to be doing something, you're building a business, team no sleep. That's not the way to do this. But how have you kind of shifted that in your leadership? More so, I know you help manage a lot of people as well, but solo, as a solo entrepreneur as well, having a wife, having kids, and trying to balance all the things.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, everybody's a human being. So if people aren't right mentally in their own lives, and if you don't know what's going on in their lives at least a little bit, it's gonna affect your business. So for me, everybody that does work for me or with me, I have became friends with, and I do understand the dynamic of their life, whether, one of my artists I manage is 36. His life looks completely different than the guy that I manage that's 21. So the way that they communicate and the way that they move is completely different. So it's almost like how you can't teach every kid the same way. You can't coach every player the same way. You can't have people that work for you and treat them all the same. You have to know their boundaries and their lifestyles. And then you have to also make it very aware what your life looks like and when you can communicate with me and how you can communicate with me and what's the healthiest way to do that. And I give it up to my wife as well, because I had no boundaries before, and I would work until 4 in the morning, and then I'd be back up at 7 working some more, and everybody would be staying at my house, and it was one big rager 24/7.
She said, hell no.
Yeah,
no more.
she
No
came
more.
in and definitely helped me set those boundaries. And I'll say the most addicting thing that we all have is right here in our pockets or in our laps. And I think the main 2 things that have really helped me is when I'm with my kids, I'm not on my phone. When I'm with my wife, I'm not on my phone. When I'm at dinner, I'm not on my phone. And I've started waking up an hour or 2 earlier to get that self-care in. I wake up at 4:45 and I get I sauna, I run, I do all the things that I need to do so I feel good, so that energy takes me through the whole day, which was extremely hard to do, waking up at 4:45 and doing that, but it's made such a difference. So crafting out those time blocks, those micro-focused time blocks of like, okay, I'm taking care of me, then I'm taking care of work, then I'm taking care of family, and then tomorrow I'm back at work and you can only talk to me from 10 to 5, then that's what it is, you know.
I see a theme here because everyone that I interview on the podcast, we interview entrepreneurs weekly, all of them wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So if you're trying to start a business, that's tip number 1, I guess. That's the advice. I'm not saying it because I'm not doing it, but that's amazing. Who wakes up before 5? Please raise your hand. Wow. All right, see, here we are. Visionaries, entrepreneurs, you're on your way. Not for me. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the finances. Ooh. I know, everyone's like, we ain't waking up at 4:30. If you got kids, no, what are you doing? It's okay. You're doing it right, though. I need to set my alarm a little earlier. Okay, let's talk a little bit about money, financially. So how did you fund your business, and what did you do to fund your success as an entrepreneur?
So I had mentioned that I had a partner previously, and we, essentially were bootstrapping everything. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, she said, I want out. And she hosted my wedding in her backyard. We're still very close. We just went to her husband's 40th birthday party last weekend on a trip. But she, like everybody, had a moment of saying what's important to me, and she's a little bit older than me and wanted to stay home with her children, and we were able to do that. Well, at the time, I was like 28, and I didn't have over $1 million to buy her out of the remaining share that she had. So I, instead of diluting equity, because our, equity is everything, I went on a journey to get an SBA loan, and it was a journey. So if anybody has an SBA loan, you know. But yeah, so I did, it took me honestly a full year to pull out a business plan for 3, 5, 10 years. Again, I said I completely rejigged the whole company of how our models are going to change going forward. But I got very serious very quickly about how Kaleidoscope was going to operate and how it was going to grow. And then I pitched myself to banks, and a lot of banks said, no way. You have never had a real job before. You are in your 20s, and your career history is making juice. And I was like, yeah. So what? Like, why not? Like, what else would I do? So I eventually found a bank after being told, I think by 3 or 4 banks to pound sand, that they would back me. And I got an SBA loan for over $1 million. And that's how I ended up buying out the remaining shares to have sole ownership.
Melody, same question.
So I'm a service-based business. Actually, this is not a shameless plug, but it's true. I actually applied for grants. I actually applied for this grant, as you know, and won it. But looking at different organizations and leaning into the resources that exist for entrepreneurs, I've started to keep tabs and look at who's offering grants or those opportunities, and I just participated. and would apply for a grant. And if you guys are afraid of grants, it's not that hard. Like really, you only have to do one really, and you could use that for other ones moving forward and just take pieces. I think the other thing that really supported me in trying to identify funding specifically for grants was also knowing what I needed to fund. I think that's a big one. Sometimes there's like, I want to do all of these things, and then it can't happen like that. So just taking pieces and do one piece at a time.
I don't even know where to start. I guess I've always been self-funded. I've never had an investment. I would say the things that got me was really just grinding. In the beginning, I wanted to go on tour, so I would work a regular job. I would save up a little bit of money, and then I would spend it all to go on tour, or spend it all to make merch, and just hope that I could flip that product. So I was constantly just reinvesting in myself and reinvesting in myself and reinvesting in myself from start to finish. I didn't really make real money until I had a video go viral, and then that's when my whole life changed. But this entire time, it's all just been self-funded. It's all just been kind of flipping products. I would say that maybe the one thing that saved me from spending a lot of money was creative partnerships. So instead of paying a video guy, I would let him put all my music videos on his YouTube channel, and then he would collect the monetization because he believed in me. Instead of paying my engineer, we would split the songs that we made together 50-50. So the guy that made all my beats, the guy that recorded me, and the guy that did the marketing for me, we would split the song 50-50. So because I didn't have money, I found people that believed in me, that I had to keep their morale high. I had to, show them that I was working 24/7 and really build creative partnerships because I was a kid and I was broke. So that was the beginning of it. And then once I actually got money, I made a ton of mistakes with money, a ton of mistakes with just being, and not like, I never blew money on stupid things. I just would invest. I'd soul invested in all my businesses, and it was trying to do too many things at once. And now I've simplified, and it still sounds like I do a lot, but it's all just assets. So everything that I have now is just an asset that is there, and that, my knowledge is an asset, my vehicles are an asset, my homes are an asset, and they continue to make me money while I'm at home doing nothing. So at the end of the day, kind of once I got money, it was, let's build something that's cool, that doesn't take too much of my time, that can build on the equity.
All right, so much good insight. Give them a round of applause before we start. We're actually going to start our Q&A session, so I hope you guys took some notes, have some questions ready. We're going to work the crowd here. Oh, we're going to steal mics. Here we go. Go into just one. I got it. It'll be my mic, right? Yeah.
Sheesh.
Can I go? Hey, what's up, guys? I have so much love and respect for all three of you. I appreciate you guys being here. Can you talk about, Zach, first of all, I remember during your podcast, as things get so tough as an entrepreneur, and you put it beautifully in perspective of like, and you just shared with the crowd of like when you mentioned, always tell your 5-year-old self this, right? To really put things in perspective when it's so hard and there's always a million things to do. But that's question one. But question two is, can you guys talk about what you do to invest in yourself and always learning, and the professional development side of how important that is, and so what you guys do now?
Basically, like how to be grateful, and then
You would think that would be easy, but I just love if you could just rephrase that to the crowd of like.
Yeah, I think that in this hustle mentality that we're all in, and social media tells us, if you ain't working 24/7, you're not doing it right. I think that I've always told myself, like, what would your 5-year-old self say looking at you now? I think that a lot of times we forget where we came from, and we're so focused on the next thing that we do forget to live in the present. And the things that you wanted to accomplish, a lot of times you've already accomplished them. And so I just encourage everybody on your journey to make sure you're happy in real life, not just on the internet, and make sure that you're really taking in those moments and reflecting and loving the situation that you're in, because that's what you wanted in the first place, right? So I think we all get trapped in that sometimes. And then the second part was just basically what self-development and what learning does for the business. Yeah, I think that the second that you stop learning, you stop growing. The second that you're not up to date with what's happening, you're not in the know, that's when you hear people refer to CEOs as dinosaurs and things like that. It's like, well, yeah, if you don't have a pulse on your business and you don't know how to do the job of this guy, how can you hold them accountable? How can you check somebody on their job if you don't know how to do it? How can you really know what's happening if you're not paying attention to how businesses should be ran and what's new, whether it be new technology, new strategy, new content, whatever you need to run your business, just always being in the know so you can implement those things, experiment with them, try them out. Yeah, so AI is a love-hate relationship for sure. It's interesting. So a couple things. I think that AI is cool if used the right way because it's a way to cross-reference and double-check things. Like a contract comes in, and instead of, obviously, you should always take a contract to a lawyer, but I've read enough contracts at this point that I can pretty much get them, but I'll always cross-reference with, ChatGPT. Break this down in the simplest form. Tell me what this paragraph actually means without the legal mumbo-jumbo, right? So I'll do the stuff like that, and then I'm actually using it to market one of my artists. Sometimes as a smaller artist, we'll do things where it's like you write an amazing song, but because you don't have any fans, nobody hears it. So one of the things we're doing to market my artist's next song is we're using an Ed Sheeran, an Ariana Grande, a Beyonce vocal template on his voice, and the whole marketing plan is going to be, imagine what would happen if Ariana Grande sang my new song. And so it's going to go viral. It's going to come out at the end of this month. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank you. My question has to do with your passion about food and knowing that food is medicine. Hippocrates said that. And I'm a firm believer of being a choice eater, is what I call it. Well, I like to order vegan dishes or gluten-free, and everyone's like, oh, you're gluten-free. I'm like, no, I just don't want to eat the crap you're eating. So my question really is about marketing. Being a 15-year vetted marketing professional, are you thinking about pairing people with, their ailment? Like if I went to your website and I said, I have this, because you're so bright and you have so much passion in food and medicine, but not everybody does that. They're like, oh, McDonald's and Arby's and all the things that are passing through your brain every day when you watch TV or you're driving somewhere. And so I love your passion to be involved in this grab and go healthy scenario, but matching it with someone's ailment, can you imagine?
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. That was very kind of you. Yes, so I actually, big picture, that's why I'm going to school for forever. I want to shift Kaleidoscope into an entire wellness brand and to transcend the line between food and your doctor and bridge the gap of culinary medicine. So that's our big picture goal down the road. Yeah. So right now, I think on average for med school, I went to med school for a year and a half and I dropped out. My parents were pissed. But I had a life moment and nutrition was my calling. I was in Kaleidoscope and I was like, I can do so much more with this and seeing people every day and make a product that can reach over 600 people a day. So that's why I made the transition. Nutrition now, my undergrad was 4 years, my master's was 2 years, and then my doctorate is 2, and then I'll have a clinical residency. So, forever. A lot of hours.
Melody, my question is for you. So I work at an agency, and we recently went through a rebrand. We're a homegrown success, and everyone is obsessed. It's like 20 people. They're all hyper obsessed with our brand and who we are and our voice. And leading a collective through something like that, huge challenge. We launched it and it went well, but brand is always about the collective and growing. I just wanted to know for you, how do you manage that? Like, how do you understand and make sure people feel heard and that their vision is in that brand, but also honoring the brand itself because the brand kind of does exist outside of others?
Yeah, I think thinking about when you're trying to get a solution or try to identify addressing the conflict is realizing that it's not a end all be all, right? Like you're not going to just fix it automatically. You're going to have to readdress that over and over again. So I guess looking at addressing and hearing and listening to all different perspectives, it's very circular. I think when I first started getting into the work of building community and doing community work, really it was around like I had to be the solution and be there for every instance because I was leading the organization, but kind of letting go and allowing for things to kind of happen and hearing voices and hearing perspectives and seeing how folks will either lean in or lean out, and also just respecting that those things will happen. I don't think there is an answer for that other than that it's a daily piece of work to be able to listen and hear perspective, especially if you're in a collective, because you're not always going to be on the same page. So I guess also you don't have to be the only one stewarding that. So I guess giving that to everyone else to do this together. Just as much as their commitment is in the organization, it has to be the commitment to stewarding the relationships internally.
We have a question here virtually, but before that, I want to make a quick note. If you do have a question from the audience, just raise your hand, and then we're going to come over to you and hand you over the mic. So this question, can you guys talk a little bit about how you identify your core values of your business and how you keep them center of what you do?
Yeah. I think that it's just moving with your passion, knowing what makes you tick, and being authentic. I think we've touched on it a few times, but as long as you're being authentic to you, I think that you can keep your business moving in that, and you'll know what to say no to if it doesn't align with what you're doing. You know, I'm not going to take a brand deal for something that I don't enjoy. I'm not going to, do things that are outside of the realm of me, my scope of what I love and what I'm into. And I think that's where you lose authenticity, is when you dabble in things that don't really mean anything to you.
I recall some of your efforts from 10, 15 years ago in Scottsdale. And I think a lot of what you preach about authenticity and being real in real life versus online, it just holds so much clout in everything that we do in today's society. So how do you, with authenticity, stay true to that? Because the mind is a fortress. And social media breeds off of that.
I think that it's just not being obsessed with the views, not being obsessed with the likes, not being obsessed with fitting in, not being obsessed with pleasing everybody. All of those things is what makes people be unauthentic, chasing the views, chasing the likes. And it's definitely a hard thing to do, because at the end of the day, views could be dollars. And so everybody chases the viral trends. And I think that if you're going to do something that's a trend, or you're going to follow somebody else's footprint, you always have to spin it to, how could this work for me? How can I make this be authentic to me? And if it can't be, then you have to just not do it. So for me, it went from a shift from, cool, you could have, and even touring, right? My most viewed songs are not the songs that people come and talk to me about at the meet and greet. You know, my song with 30 million views isn't what the person comes up to me crying and says, this song changed my life. That's not the song that did it. It's once they dug into the discography, it's the song that has 500,000 views. So really just being able to know that everything that I do matters and somebody's seeing it. And so many times something that I thought was a flop actually helped somebody. So it's just not being obsessed with the numbers.
That's being an artist. I love that. And my last question is for the previous winner. I absolutely love, it was Resolution, the domain that you created, right? The support community. What inspired you to give so much to others coming from such humble beginnings?
My driver is generational impact, and also sharing the knowledge that I have with others behind me or in front of me, wherever they're coming from. So I think about my little sister and my niece and we have a new niece now, and just knowing that they're going to see representation from, you know, a Native person that's on this stage with others. Of sometimes we're the first, you know, and I think that's my driver there, is just breaking down learning systems and rebuilding and sharing that with others.
All right, we have another question virtually, and all three of you guys can actually answer this one. Are there any specific tools or resources that you recommend for small businesses to access and enhance their authenticity in both leadership and brand representation?
I don't know if this is the correct answer, but I would say whatever your brand is and whatever you are trying to do with your brand, I'm obviously a student of life, and just take as many classes, listening to as many people who have done it before, or who even are remotely interested in that topic. There's so many random free things on the internet now that you can go and take courses on. Constantly educate yourself on something, because even if you don't think it will help you, like 5 years down the road, it will trigger a memory, and it might be your saving grace in a really serious decision. So just be constantly learning and constantly taking your education very seriously. You don't have to pay $1 million to go to school. You can do a lot of things online for free. But if you're always open to learning and you're always open to actively keeping your brain going, then I think you'll never slow down. Your business will always just keep going.
Yeah, I don't think I really have a resource either. I think that it's more staying focused, and I think micro-focus would be the term that I would use. Being able to micro-focus your time and having time blocks where you focus on specific things, and having a to-do list, a very strict one, that you're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to be on my phone because I'm doing this, and then I'm not allowing people to talk to me right now because I'm doing this, and just being micro-focused on your tasks. Those would be the two things that really help me to keep my businesses running. Is every artist that I manage has a to-do list. Every business, there's a to-do list. Every personal thing I need to get done has a to-do list, and then I micro-focus in on those things one by one so my brain isn't scattered all over the place.
Mine is engaging in new experiences. So going into spaces I've never been before, different industries, different scopes of work, and learning. We actually co-founded a space called Cahokia, which is a collaborative space in downtown Phoenix. And I've learned so much from the folks that are in our space by experiencing and attending their events. Specifically creatives. I don't identify as a creative, and just going and learning from other creatives has been very impactful to how I think and how I innovate.
My question for you guys is about roadblocks. So I know that you guys spoke about some financial roadblocks and how to get over those, but I think there's also a real conversation around mental or emotional roadblocks that you hit along the way, especially when you're doing stuff on your own in the early stages. So can the three of you briefly discuss how you overcame those and kept fueling the fire through those darker times?
Yeah, I love this question. I refer even like writer's block for an artist. When I don't have anything to talk about, when I can't make a song, when I can't do what I'm supposed to do, it's because I'm not living enough. I'm not enjoying life. So my biggest advice, we all sit down and we're trying to make it happen all at once, and it's not going to. So the best thing I've ever done is just stop trying in that moment. If my pen doesn't have anything to say, cool. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna go, and I would say go outside. The power of being outside and being in nature is super slept on, and the power of conversation and inspiration with random people is super slept on. And going back to a place or going to a new place you've never been, going to a place that humbles you, something that brings nostalgia, anything but trying to work, realistically.
So I've had many roadblocks. I've been sued. I've had, like people like throw plates at me. So anything imaginable, I've probably had happen. And I would say it sounds cliche, but I do lean into the idea that there's a bigger purpose and a bigger picture of why I'm here on this earth and why we're all here. And so I lean into prayer and saying that, I am fortunate to do this. I'm fortunate to be here, and like you will get thrown so much shit at you no matter what you do, no matter what job you have, no matter where you work. There will always be a negative. So operate in the 80-20, and if 80% of the day is still really good, you're having an incredible day. So
For sure. And last thing I would add to that is I think something that's kept me going is we always feel like, well, if I get to this, I'll be good. If I get to this, I'll be good. And it really all is a journey with no destination. So I would say just know that it's a beautiful journey, and you might think you're going here and you might end up over here, but it's all beautiful. So I think when these roadblocks come up, it might be intentional that maybe where you wanted to go wasn't what you were supposed to do, and now we're going this way. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's ready. Oh, is it my turn? This question is for Brooke. Oh, sorry. Hi. So I've loved all of your answers so far. I love your passion. I also studied nutrition, and I considered taking it further. So I totally understand like loving the scientific aspect of it. And I've been to your store, so I understand everything is made in-house. I've watched them make it. And my question for you, you said earlier that you can get juice to 600 people in a day. From a business perspective, have you considered doing like a subscription-based model? And if not, why?
So we have a point system, which if you're on it, like if I took people's points away, like they would hunt me down. Like they would hunt me down at my door, give us our points back. So right now that is kind of our, not a subscription, but you get obviously points, free product, things like that. And we just built out our app this past winter. So yes, I've thought of a subscription system. However, I want it to encompass more than juice. So my vision of the product and where I want to take the company is I want it to encompass so much more from a healing perspective and a medical perspective that you're not going and getting juice and you're like, oh, I have a subscription to a juice place. Like we are almost like, I have a friend who has a joke where she always says, Kaleidoscope juice is my health insurance. My goal is to make it where people view food that strongly and that passionately. So that's eventually, hopefully, kind of the build-out that we're trying to do. So yes, I've thought about it. The point system is what we have for right now, but I'm hoping, God willing, that we'll be able to grow out big vision, a much bigger scale. Thanks.
This will be the last question.
Can each of you share a goal that's like crazy, impossible, that like you haven't hit yet, that you're working towards, you're excited to hit, but even for you now in your success seems like super far away?
My goal sounds kind of like negative, but it's not. It's positive. I eventually want to go after the National School Lunch Program. My goal is to do that. So.
That's fire. In square
Wow, I'm inspired. Me too. So there's 574 tribal nations across the United States, and there's 22 here in Arizona. And my dream is to have more Native representation at the tables where decisions are being made on our behalf.
Yeah, I'm honestly the complete opposite because, like, it's gonna sound crazy. My rap name is Futuristic, and it's that because I always was thinking so far in the future, and I started rapping when I was so young. So I had these goals for myself from the time I was 5 years old, and when I tell people that, they don't believe me. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire by the time I'm 25. I'm gonna be married at 30, and I'm gonna have kids at 30, and that was my life goals. And so at this point, my only real goal is to be the best human being I can be, to be the best husband and the best father that I can possibly be. And from here, everything else to me is extra. I don't really have any more goals than just to make the world a better place and be the best person I can be, to be real.
All right, let's show some love to our speakers tonight. It was another beautiful, insightful night here at Walter Studios. A couple quick notes. Mi casa es su casa, but like clean up after yourself when we leave here tonight. We're gonna do some networking outside here. Grab a drink, get some food. But another quick note here as well, we have QR codes. Don't forget, a little small donation goes such a long way for wonderful nights like tonight that are free. We wanna keep them free. Next week, we have another great session. And remember, you're gonna get your survey via email on Friday to fill out. You have to attend 3 out of the 4 sessions in order to be up for this $50,000 grants that are funded for you and your dream and your vision. So thank you all for tonight. Happy networking.